So it looks like Drake had another concert. He's wearing something different. Instead of the holes in his shirt that he has with the smoke coming out, he's wearing a white shirt. So it looks like this might be a new concert, a new conversation. And it looks like he's promoting a new album. It looks like Drake says he has a new solo album on the way. Now, despite the album that he already talked about with Party Next Door, he already said that he had an album with Party Next Door that's going to come out on Valentine's Day. He already said that in his last speech that he had gave, but it looks like he already gave another speech where he's going to discuss another album where it's only going to be him. Now, this is interesting because I always said if Drake was going to make any music or any new music that the people were going to listen to, the last thing that he needs to drop is an album with Party Next Door. So it looks like he decided that he's going to work on a solo album eventually. I'm going to play the clip right now and see what it is exactly that he says.
I got a new album coming out on Valentine's Day with Party Next Door. It's called Some Sexy Songs for You. And you know, eventually when the time is right, Drizzy Drake alone by himself is gonna have to have a one-on-one talk to y'all. When the time is right, I'll be back with another album, a one-on-one conversation with y'all that you need to hear.
So he said he needs to have a one-on-one conversation with us when the time is right. He's going to make a solo album where he could discuss everything about the beef. And personally, I think he should do that after the Super Bowl. I don't think he is going to drop the Party Next Door album after the Super Bowl around Valentine's Day. But I don't think it should be the Party Next Door album. If anything, I think he should just let Party Next Door drop a solo album for himself and then work on an album by himself, talking about Drake, make an album by himself for him to drop. The very, very complex thing about this is that Drake has been so focused on doing like a feature. He'll drop like 100 gigs unofficially, then drop the songs officially. He hasn't really dropped anything to where it's like his music original, no snippets, no sneak previews, no 100 gigs where you drop the song and then drop the full one later on, no feature with another artist. And he hasn't made an album for himself after the fact. So definitely something that he needs to do. This is something that a lot of people wanted him to do in the first place, was just to drop music and just keep going. And he just never got to it. So it looks like Drake decided to make an album. Now, obviously, when he makes this album, the way that he's talking about the album, it's like he's talking about how it's going to have something to do with the beef. It sounds like he's finally going to make an album where he discusses how he truly feels about the situation instead of being so indirect with everything. It looks like he's decided to make an album where he's finally going to address everything alone by himself and talk one-on-one and have a conversation with the people about how it went down in this rap battle and how he feels after the fact, instead of showing us smoke in the back, holes in the front of his shirt, all these weird and indirect text messages with other people and all these other things that he's doing, all these other lawsuits, all these other things, right? He says that he's going to drop an album. Now, the only thing that I will say is I hope that the album, he's not making stuff up or rewriting history. I would hate for Drake to make an album making it seem like he won or he got messed over or he got messed up or he played the victim. When he talks about making an album and talking about this one-on-one, is he going to say it in his perspective? There's three sides of every story. There's his side, there's Kendrick's side, and then there's the truth. You could say it from Drake's perspective, Kendrick's perspective, or from our perspective, how we saw it go down. Obviously, our side, our perspective knows that Kendrick won, and Kendrick even knows that he won. But Drake's perspective is always going to be different. So if he makes this album openly admitting that he lost, that's a start right there. But who knows if he makes this album and he starts playing victim? Who knows when he starts saying this one-on-one that he's going to have with the people? Who knows how he's going to try to spin it? We already know that he had academics spin a couple stories in a different type of light. So who's to say when he makes this album, he ain't going to say it in a different perspective, in a perspective that doesn't make him look weak or doesn't make him look like he started this in the first place. Either way it goes, I really do think that Drake needs to make an album by himself. I don't think him making an album with Party Next Door is good for him at this time. I know Party Next Door probably wants to drop new music. Probably should just let him drop his own album at his own time by himself and then work on the album for yourself as well. I don't think a collab album with Party Next Door is what people are going to care about, to be honest with you, bro. Nobody's asking for a PND and Drake album right now. Maybe your super fans, maybe people who like PND, but honestly, bro, nobody is really like craving that, itching for that. No one is like, that's not on a high demand right now, bro. No one's asking for a PND album with Drake on Valentine's Day. But if he does make the solo album, I'm hoping that I'm hoping that he's actually telling the truth about what happened in his case instead of how he feels what happened or play the victim on this album. Or who knows, maybe he'll start talking smack or start saying some crazy ish, but only time will tell what will really happen when we hear this album, bro. You know, they're saying this is the anti-hate tour. This is the Drake tour where he's just avoiding all the hate, going to Australia while the Grammys are on, going to Australia while the Super Bowl is going on, dropping a collab album on Valentine's Day after the Grammys, after the Super Bowl, trying to bring back a little buzz because, you know, I think Kendrick owns pretty much January and February at this point. And I don't think that album with Party Next Door is going to do well, bro. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think it's going to move anywhere. This loss is pretty hard for Drake. The fact that he keeps ending the night like with a speech like this is crazy, bro. I'm not sure if he's ever done this at his other concerts. I've never gone to a Drake concert. You could probably tell me in the comments if you have. But I'm going to be honest, bro. Like, I've never seen him talk to the crowd this long after a show or before a show. This is usually like on some Kanye shit. Like when Kanye would go on rants at his concert, this is kind of like the same vibe that I'm getting. Am I tripping for saying that? Like when he would talk to the crowd for like 5 minutes long, you know what I mean? Like just start going crazy. I've heard several stories about that. And it's kind of how it feels. He might not be going too long, but he is like talking to the people and telling them how they feel. These are very, very unique conversations that he's putting out in his concerts, considering we never heard how Drake really feels directly from himself. Everything that he said, all the hating shit that he says is very indirect. And like I said, I hope when he drops his solo album, he's not trying to change the narrative or play the victim or change the story. We'll see if he decides to express the truth when he actually decides to talk about everything. If not, we already know the truth. We already know that Kendrick won. Drake is not the victim. He called Kendrick out. Kendrick came out, and he regretted it ever since. Kendrick won. Kendrick the winner. KTW, bro. But we'll see in time what happens with Drake after the fact. See if he really does drop an album like this moving forward. But let me know how you feel about this. Let me know how you feel about everything being said. And get back to me, man. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video, man. Peace. Keep it alleged.